"Get that blind girl and her wheelchair off our nice sidewalks," yelled Eleanor, standing over the scared teen. Mia tried to be brave. She never thought her normal way home would end with her left alone in busy traffic, or that her dad, a traffic cop, would see it all happen from his police car. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more Karen cruelty stories. "Excuse me. You there, in that wheelchair. You're not allowed here." The harsh voice cut through the warm afternoon air, stopping Mia in her tracks. At 14, blind and wheelchair bound since the accident last year, she had grown accustomed to navigating the world differently, but not to such open hostility. "I'm just trying to get home from school," Mia replied, her fingers pausing on the rims of her wheelchair. The click of high heels approached rapidly. "This is private property. These are premium sidewalks that cost our homeowners a fortune. Your wheels are leaving marks." Mia turned her face toward the voice, wishing not for the first time that she could see the person speaking to her. "I'm sorry, but this is a public sidewalk. I use this route every day. I'm Eleanor Blackwell, president of the Clearwater Heights Homeowners Association, and I decide who uses these walkways," the woman snapped, her voice dripping with authority and disgust. "And I'm telling you that your situation is bringing down property values. Find another way home." Mia felt her cheeks burn as she heard several passers-by slow down, obviously listening to the confrontation. She took a deep breath, trying to remain calm despite her racing heart. "Ma'am, I can't take another route. There's construction on the other streets, and the detours aren't accessible for someone who is both blind and uses a wheelchair." "Not my problem," Eleanor replied coldly. "This is about community standards and property values. Leave now." The air around them seemed to thicken with tension. Mia held her ground, her hands firmly gripping her wheelchair armrests. "I have every right to use this public sidewalk." Something in Eleanor seemed to snap. "How dare you contradict me? I've been running this association for 11 years. Before Mia could react, she felt Eleanor's manicured hands grip the handles of her wheelchair. With a forceful jerk, Eleanor began pushing her rapidly forward. "What are you doing?" Mia cried out, completely disoriented as her sense of direction vanished. "Stop. I'm escorting you off our property," Eleanor replied venomously, pushing Mia's wheelchair at a speed that felt dangerous. "Since you can't take a hint." Mia tried to grab her wheels to stop the movement, but Eleanor pushed harder, batting her hands away. "Stop it. You don't understand, I can't see where we're going." The sounds around her changed abruptly, the quiet neighborhood ambience replaced by the rumble of engines. The surface beneath her wheels changed from smooth concrete to rough asphalt. A car horn blared nearby. With horrifying clarity, Mia realized where Eleanor had taken her. "Are we in the street?" Panic surged through her. "We're in traffic, aren't we?" "Find your own way home," Eleanor said coldly, giving the wheelchair a final push forward before releasing it. "And don't come back to Clearwater Heights." Mia froze in absolute terror as she heard cars screeching to a halt around her. Helpless and blind and stranded in her wheelchair in the middle of a busy intersection, she could only call out desperately. "Help! Somebody please help me!" More horns joined the first as drivers spotted the blind girl in a wheelchair stranded helplessly in the center of the busy intersection. "Move," someone shouted from inside a vehicle. But Mia couldn't move, she had no idea which direction was safe. She frantically tried to wheel herself somewhere, anywhere, but each honking horn only added to her disorientation. The rush of a passing car sent her hair flying as a driver barely managed to swerve around her. "Mia!" The voice cut through the chaos like a lifeline. Her father's voice. Mia turned toward it instinctively. "Dad! I'm here. I can't see, I don't know where I am." The screech of brakes pierced the air as another vehicle swerved to avoid her. Then came the sound of running footsteps and her father quickly taking control of her wheelchair, pushing her swiftly away from danger. "I've got you, Mija. I've got you," Officer David Martinez repeated, his voice ragged with fear as he brought her to safety on the sidewalk. Mia reached for him, sobbing uncontrollably. She pushed me into traffic, Dad. She just left me there to die. Who did this? David's voice transformed into something Mia had never heard before, a cold, controlled fury that sent chills down her spine. The HOA woman Eleanor Blackwell, Mia managed between sobs. She said I was trespassing because my wheelchair was marking their sidewalks. You should have thought about that before trespassing, Eleanor hissed, continuing to push the wheelchair. Maybe this will teach you a lesson about respecting private property. Suddenly, the surface beneath Mia's wheels changed from concrete to asphalt. The sounds of nearby cars grew louder. A horn blared somewhere close. With horrifying clarity, Mia realized where Eleanor had taken her. Are we in the street? Panic surged through her body. Find your own way home, Eleanor said coldly, releasing the wheelchair in the middle of the road with a final push forward. And don't come back to Clearwater Heights. Mia froze in terror. Without any reference point, completely unable to see, and stranded in her wheelchair, she was utterly helpless. The sound of engines surrounded her. She could feel the vibration of approaching vehicles through her wheelchair. Help, she called out, her voice thin with fear. Please, someone help me. A car horn blared, much closer now. Mia tried to turn her wheelchair toward the sound, but had no idea which direction would lead to safety. More horns joined the first as drivers spotted the blind girl in a wheelchair stranded helplessly in the center of the busy intersection. Move, someone shouted from inside a vehicle. Mia tried to wheel herself to safety but had no orientation. She moved her wheels frantically but had no idea if she was heading toward the curb or deeper into traffic. Another horn blasted just feet away. The rush of a passing car sent her hair flying. Mia! The voice cut through the chaos like a lifeline. Her father's voice. Mia turned toward it automatically. Dad! I'm here. I can't see where I am. The screech of brakes pierced the air as a vehicle swerved to avoid her. Then came the sound of running footsteps and her father quickly taking control of her wheelchair, pushing her swiftly away from danger. I've got you, Mija. I've got you, Officer David Martinez repeated, his voice ragged with fear as he brought her to safety on what felt like a sidewalk. Mia reached out for him, sobbing. She pushed me into the street, Dad. She just left me there in traffic. Who did? David's voice had transformed into something Mia had never heard before, cold, professional fury barely contained. The HOA lady. Eleanor Blackwell, Mia managed between sobs. She said I was trespassing because I'm not a resident. She said my wheelchair was marking their sidewalks. A chorus of angry voices surrounded them now. I saw the whole thing, a man said nearby. That woman grabbed the handles of the wheelchair and pushed the girl into the intersection, then just abandoned her there. I got it on video, another voice added. Started recording when I saw that woman hassling a disabled kid. Officer, she deliberately put your daughter in harm's way, a woman interjected. I heard her tell the girl to find her own way home. Mia felt her father's body go rigid. When he spoke again, his voice was terrifyingly calm. Stay right here with Mrs. Chen, he instructed Mia, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. I'll be right back. David, Mrs. Chen warned, don't do anything. I'm not going to do anything except my job, David replied, his voice like steel. Where did she go? Back toward the clubhouse, someone offered. The white building with columns. Mia listened to her father's footsteps striding away with purpose. Mrs. Chen squeezed her hand gently. It's okay, dear. Your father will handle this. Mia gripped her wheelchair armrests tightly. Why would she do that? I could have been killed. Some people, Mrs. Chen sighed, value property over people. But not for long, I think. 20 minutes later, Mia heard the unmistakable sound of her father returning, accompanied by another set of footsteps, the click of Eleanor's heels, now moving with reluctance rather than authority. I've already explained this as a misunderstanding, Eleanor was saying, her voice having lost its edge. Save it for your statement, David replied tersely. Then, more gently, Mia, are you all right? I'm okay now, Dad, she answered, still shaken but steadier with her cane back in hand. Officer Martinez, Eleanor tried again, her voice taking on a pleading quality. Surely we can resolve this without formal charges. The HOA would be willing to. Eleanor Blackwell, you're under arrest for child endangerment, assault, and reckless conduct. David cut her off, his voice carrying the weight of his badge. You deliberately placed a visually impaired minor in the middle of traffic, creating substantial risk of serious physical injury. This is ridiculous. Eleanor sputtered. I was simply escorting her off private property. By abandoning a blind child in the middle of a busy intersection? David's voice was deadly quiet. The same intersection where I direct traffic every school day? The same intersection where I nearly watched my daughter get hit by a car? Mia heard the metallic click of handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent, her father continued, reciting the familiar words with perfect professional detachment. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As her father continued the Miranda warning, Mia heard murmurs of approval from the gathering crowd. Someone gently touched her shoulder. I sent the video to the local news, a teenage voice whispered. No one should be treated like that. 6 months later, Mia wheeled confidently down the same sidewalk, her trained ears picking up the sounds around her with remarkable precision. The route had changed significantly since that terrible day. New tactile paving marked every crossing, audible signals had been installed at each intersection, braille signage adorned every street corner, and smooth, wide ramps now made every crossing wheelchair accessible. As she approached Clearwater Lane, a familiar voice called out to her. Good afternoon, Mia. Perfect day to be out, isn't it? Hi, Mrs. Chen, Mia replied with a smile, recognizing the voice of the woman who had stayed with her that fateful day. How's the new council working out? Mrs. Chen chuckled. Wonderful. We just approved funding for the accessible playground you suggested. And your father's presentation on community safety was excellent. After Eleanor Blackwell's arrest, the video of the incident had gone viral, drawing national attention to the issues faced by people with multiple disabilities. Under intense public pressure, the Clearwater Heights Homeowners Association had undergone a complete leadership overhaul. Mrs. Chen was now president, and Mia's father served as safety advisor. Eleanor had been convicted of child endangerment and sentenced to 18 months of probation, along with 500 hours of community service split between the Center for the Visually Impaired and a rehabilitation center for people with mobility impairments, the same centers where Mia received her training. The judge had also mandated that Eleanor complete extensive disability sensitivity training. Perhaps most significantly, the City Council had passed Mia's law, requiring all homeowners associations to comply with comprehensive accessibility standards, addressing the needs of people with all types of disabilities regardless of whether their communities were public or private. Dad says the new traffic patterns are working really well, Mia told Mrs. Chen as they moved along the path together. They certainly are. Traffic accidents are down 30% since the changes. Mrs. Chen's voice carried unmistakable pride. And it's all because of you, dear. Mia shook her head. I didn't do anything except try to get home. Sometimes, Mrs. Chen replied wisely, the most powerful thing a person can do is simply refuse to be invisible. As they reached the intersection where Mia had once been stranded and terrified, she heard the new audible signal, Clearwater Crossing is safe to cross. Clearwater Crossing is safe to cross. Mia wheeled confidently onto the crosswalk, her wheelchair gliding smoothly over the perfectly designed ramp. The raised guidance tracks helped her maintain a straight path across the intersection. From his post directing traffic, her father raised his hand in greeting, though he knew she couldn't see it. What Mia couldn't see with her eyes, she felt with her heart. That she belonged here, that she had value, and that her presence had transformed not just a few sidewalks and intersections, but an entire community's understanding of what it meant to truly see one another beyond physical limitations. I'll see you at the council meeting tomorrow? Mrs. Chen asked as they reached the other side. Definitely, Mia confirmed with a smile. I've got some ideas for the accessible youth program I want to share. As Mia continued her journey home, she reflected on how her world had changed. Her mother had never returned, apparently content with her new life in another state. That abandonment still hurt, but the wound had begun to heal. What filled that space now was something unexpected, a sense of purpose. Her father had always taught her that true policing meant protecting the vulnerable. Now Mia understood that protecting sometimes meant changing the systems that made people vulnerable in the first place. When she reached her front door, she heard her father's patrol car pulling into the driveway. His shift had ended early today. Perfect timing, he called out as he approached. "I was thinking pizza tonight. What do you say?" Mia grinned. "Only if we can get pineapple on it." David groaned dramatically. "The things I do for love." As they entered their home together, Mia thought about Eleanor Blackwell. The woman had tried to make her feel unwelcome, unwanted, like a blemish on a perfect community. She had tried to render Mia invisible and powerless by abandoning her in harm's way. Instead, she had inadvertently helped Mia find her voice, her purpose, and her place in the community, not despite her disabilities, but because of the strength she'd developed in living with them every day. And that was something Eleanor, with all her physical abilities and social power, had been completely blind to.